Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, joined by Marco D'Angelo at Marco in Vegas, and Andrew McKinnis, special guest in studio this week at McKinnis Picks. Make sure you guys are giving both of them a follow. We're talking Monday Night Football. Marco, I'm actually going to let you go first because Andrew already told me he doesn't have a big opinion on this game, so I'm going to let him piggyback off what you have to say. Indianapolis at New Orleans. Large number here for Sean Payton and the Saints.
Yeah, and I won't rant on Sean Payton. If you want to see my rant, go to the NFL version of Bet On It. And
that was basically your whole synopsis, which is why I'm excited to actually hear you rolling, because you used your whole minute and a half to basically say not nice things about Mr. Payton.
Yeah, well, it was an epic game last week, obviously, and the natural reaction for people when they see a game like that and a team lost in the fashion they did, 48-46, they're going to want to say, oh, well, they look good in losing. How many times you see people, a team wins, but they win ugly, and they don't want any part of them the next week. But, you know, they won, and sometimes those ugly wins start winning streaks. But a team that lost, but lost looking good, they're ready to jump right back on them. And I got to say, the tank's got to be a little bit empty for them after that game against San Francisco. And if you would have told me beforehand, Kelly, I had already bet a lot on the Saints last week, and you'd have told me, you know what, I'm going to give you a little inside information. They're going to score 46 points this week. How much more do you want on your ticket? I would have been, you know, maxing out on that one. But this is
I was with you.
I think this is too many points. Right now, the stock is so low on Indianapolis because of the last 2 weeks. They lose that game to Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Looks at the final score, looks like a 31-17 game. Looks like it was, you know, an easy win. It really wasn't. That game was tied with 5 minutes left to go at 17-17. A blocked field goal for a touchdown and then a late score, and it looks misleading final. And then last week, they just couldn't get it going. Jameis Winston lit them up. You could say, well, Drew Brees is going to light them up this week. This is a spot for me, I think, that the old saying that you could lose a game twice, I think that they are in danger if they don't come in here and play focused football. Indianapolis will be able to grind it out, run the football, and we saw New Orleans has some problems with that defense for sure.
All right, Andrew, the Saints 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 as a home favorite. I want no part of the Saints team, especially with this large number. But primetime unders have been doing really well, and I'm kind of looking towards that direction. I know you don't have a big opinion on this game, but thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah, Kelly, I know you've been looking at those primetime unders most of the year so far, and it's been a trend that's worked quite a bit. And I definitely would look that way, especially if you like the Colts. I think they're going to look to try and drag things out, get the run game going, and make it kind of a slower-paced game. However, we talk about how sports handicapping is a lot about mental and looking at the way teams are coming into the next week, whether it's after a loss or after a win. And in a big game that like the Saints coming off of, although it wasn't a win for them, I feel like they're still going to roll in and feel satisfied with their performance. Obviously, it slipped away from them, and this is kind of the other approach to look at it versus what Marco said. Is kind of like you still have to be impressed with the good things that you did and learn from the bad, and that's kind of why I think the Saints actually could slip away with this one. And this is kind of like a spot where you see the Colts. It's a pride game for them, and this is why I don't have too much of a strong bet on an opinion on it, because I really feel like if the Colts want to show up, play strong, finally put up a good defensive performance, and contain the Saints a little bit, they might find success. But if the Saints can say, hey, look, we're coming off a pretty good performance, didn't get the job done completely, stay focused, mentally, come into this one, they could run the score up. So, as far as this game goes, I actually have a lean towards the Saints. I feel like they will come in, show some frustration almost, and take that frustration out on the Colts. We're approaching that time of year right now where you find out the identities of teams, and the old saying, good teams win, great teams cover. I feel like this will be a real big sign of that this week.
All right.
Last thing I'll just throw in as far as the Colts, a lot of people say with losing last week's game, that ended their season possibly, at 6-7. So you could have that factor, which would benefit for you, except it's a Monday night football game. And if a team's going to show up, they're going to show up for prime time, even if they're out of the race. Pride-wise, you don't want to get embarrassed on national TV. That's why I'm leaning a little.
And I fully do agree with those type of mentality. I mean, a team shows up, I think, for certain games more than others. And that's why I think some people bet certain games or certain teams, but you got to bet the scenario. And in this scenario, especially prime time, any team could show up and play better than they would maybe on another day.
All right, awesome stuff, guys. $2 Tuesday. Each and every Tuesday, you get the hottest handicappers' best bet for just $2 at either WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com.